Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue introduces us to an entirely new universe completely disconnected from the previous 7 seasons. And that's saying something. Sage and his robot assistant, for a change. The Rangers were no longer older teenagers, or younger ones as the case may be. Instead, they've all graduated from school, and they're out in the workforce working on their careers and their dreams. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue one day, Captain Mitchell recruits these 5 young adults to become the Lightspeed Power Rangers. Captain Mitchell explains that ancient demons have been resurrected from thousands of years previously, and that Project Lightspeed has developed technology and techniques to combat them in the here and now. This includes the construction of giant vehicles which are designed to help in emergency situations, as well as to defeat the demons when they grow to giant size. And these giant machines are known as Zords. The first 5 rescue Zords are deployed from the Lightspeed Aqua Base's hangar bay via giant train-like carriers known as Rail Rescues. Once on location, the Rail Rescues deploy the rescue Zords. From within Rail Rescue 1 is Pyro Rescue 1. I'm just going to say it now so that I don't have to try and remember it later on. I really like the level of detailing on all 5 rescue Zords. It's really nice. Details you typically won't see. Well, of course you're going to see all the red details, but they get details in areas that you won't see very often. The whole undercarriage section here, this gets covered up when it's in Megazord mode. So you get to see really nice, even on the interior. See this panel lining there, and even along the inside, that gets covered up. You never see that except during transformation. So that's really nice. And Pyro Rescue 1 is inspired by the real-life ladder trucks. Ladder trucks typically don't shoot water because they have ladders attached to them. And so, because of this, Pyro Rescue 1 can deploy the Lightspeed ladder arms. These can actually go all the way forward. Mine's a little loose. A little bit of give in the joints, but oh well. But here's the cool part. Ubiquitous military missile launching truck. No. Oh yeah, by the way, more detailing you're not going to see except during transformation. Nice. Anyways, it's not easy to get these out of here. You just have to use your thumbnails or fingernails or whatever and pull these out. And yeah, it actually is ladder arms. Again, more detail. Not as much as on the top or on the bottom, but certainly on the sides, both on the inside and the outside. Nice detailing. So that is Pyro Rescue 1. From out of Rail Rescue 2 comes Aqua Rescue 2. Aqua Rescue 2 has just as effective detailing, especially on the decal here. But even though it's a water truck does not denote much movement except for the PVC water cannons, which are, of course, non-functional. And the only reason the water cannons can come off and are made of PVC is, well, they can come off and be used somewhere else. So that is Aqua Rescue 2. And again, nice detailing all around. A little warning siren klaxon thingy up there. Klaxon? Claxton? I don't care. From out of Rail Rescue 3 comes Aero Rescue 3. I think I like Aero Rescue 3 the best of the 5 because it's got sweet detail and, oh yeah, it's the only flyer. Nice detailing all around. Top. Not so much on the bottom, really. But the engines have nice detailing on them. The bonus with the engine nacelles is they can twist forward, just like in the show. Twist up. Actually, you can twist them all the way around. But anyways, yeah. Can be pretty back heavy though when he turns these things, or nose heavy. He's going to hang like this when he tries to go up and down. Anyways, unfortunately, it doesn't have the little tow cables, little magnetic grappling cables down here, so you have to kind of use your imagination on that. But one little detail they added that I like is these turbines actually turn up here. Let's see. Yeah, they turn. That's kind of a nice detail. You don't really notice it in the show, and you kind of expect the turbines to be in the front, like spin these or something like that, or have some kind of exhaust in back, but no, it's just little turbine fans right there. So that's kind of a nice detail. One thing I worry about, though, with Aero Rescue 3, also with Aqua Rescue 2, is these PVC cannons. They're really, really thin, and even though these can move together, I worry that they'll snap off real easily. So that is Aero Rescue 3. From out of Rail Rescue 4 comes Has Rescue 4. Has Rescue 4 is clearly the armored brute of the 5. Has very angular shape to it, even on the cockpit. Bumpers, little lights, grille there. Kind of a blocky thing. You know, this thing's got thick armor to it. Of course, being a hazmat vehicle, it probably needs to be able to withstand close-range explosions and or act as a decoy when needed. And again, nice detail. This one also comes with a built-in feature in the back, in the form of a hazmat claw. That's pretty sweet. It actually has good range to it, which is made entirely of ABS. Again, nice detailing underneath, and on the top as well. Not so much detailing on the inside. However, and from out of Rail Rescue 5 comes Med Rescue 5. Ah, finally. It was not easy pulling those rescue Zords out of there with the camera so close. Med Rescue 5 is, well, a giant ambulance. What are you going to do with a giant ambulance? Well, it does carry medical supplies on the inside, but the interesting thing about it is that there's actually a lot of space. The toy does not recreate this, but this is actually a boarding ramp you see right here with some nice detailing in there, and on the floor as well. You can't see it with this camera, unfortunately, but there is detailing in there, at least not with the video camera operating. Anyways, this is designed to carry road vehicles that get in the way. They just roll right in, so it becomes a mobile carrier. It just carries cars out of the way of the fighting. I always wondered why it is the streets were so clear during a Megazord battle. Now you know how they clear them. In Episode 2, when the Rescue Zords make their debut, they have to get to a skyscraper that's surrounded by liquid hot magma. And the only way they can get to it is to cool some of that magma and make a temporary road so that Pyro Rescue 1 can get in and they can break into the building and rescue the sweet and innocent civilians inside. Well, Aqua Rescue 2 is obviously already throwing water on it, but Blue Ranger just can't quite seem to get enough range out of the cannons. And so Med Rescue 5, Aqua Rescue 2, and Has Rescue 4 combine together to form Hydro Mode, which is actually the beginning of the transformation process for Megazord mode. What I dislike about Has Rescue 4 in transforming it is that you can't get a good grip. You have to use friction in order to pull the claw out. Yeah, die-cast metal hip joints. And no, there are not little doors that close up the spaces there, although that would have been awesome. The other thing that would have been awesome is if the water cannons would actually have been on little arms that would lift them up like there were in the series. That would have been awesome. Unfortunately, you just have to take them off and reattach them yourself. And there you have Hydro Mode. You'd think they'd come up with a better name for it than Hydro Mode? Come on. So in order to get the water cannons higher, they just make a giant pair of pants. Oh well. Unfortunately, the hip joints in mine are really loose. By the way, you can see the die-cast metal bars there, which is really nice. The joints are a little loose on mine, but they weren't on the production one, so I can actually get away with doing this. Badly, but I can get away with it. Now here's an interesting thing about the transformation process for the Lightspeed Megazord. Unlike its name, the transformation process for the Lightspeed Megazord does not happen at light speed. The transformation process for any Megazord up to this point has just kind of happened instantly, in a flash. Just boom, done, there it is. Of course, it's slowed down so that we, the audience, can enjoy the intricacies of the transformation. It's played up for the dramatics, blah, blah, blah. And while it's interesting to watch the transformation process, it actually takes time for this Megazord to assemble itself. For example, and the toy does not do this, mind you, because that would have been too complex. And I'm not going to really, put much effort into it here, but when Has Rescue 4 and Med Rescue 5, when they raise themselves, they actually have these huge hydraulic arms that are piston arms, which lift them up slowly. And then Aero Rescue 3 comes along, flies over Aqua Rescue 2, and uses its grapple hooks to pull it up, lift it into the air, and then set it down into the arms like that. It releases the cables, and then it lifts off. The Lightspeed Megazord is the first example of Zords that don't magically combine with each other. They actually require, shall I say, real-world physics to actually work. This thing is completely dependent on this thing in order to get into position. It doesn't just slide up to the back of Has Rescue 4 and Med Rescue 5 and then the whole thing lifts up. No, not at all. It actually has to depend on a flyer and the power of its engines to get it up. As a matter of fact, one of those rare instances of a transformation being interrupted takes place during the debut transformation of the Lightspeed Megazord. So much for that the little pea shooters on the front of Aero Rescue 3 need to be used. But the transformation is interrupted. Like I said, it's not a magical transformation, so this takes place in real time. So, they say Lightspeed Megazord and then 5 seconds later it shows up. No. It actually takes like a minute and a half to put the thing together in real life. So I actually have a bit of appreciation for that. Amazingly so, from Hydro mode, there's actually 2 ways to complete the transformation to the Lightspeed Megazord, which appear in the show. The second option that we see just as frequently as the primarily one is that the arms pop out, Lightspeed ladder arms pop out. Yeah, I know my hand's in the way. What are you going to do about it? The arms pop out. It kind of half transforms on the ground. You got to use your imagination because the arms are way too wide. And the Lightspeed ladder arms are too short. Anyways, how do I do this? It'll grab onto its own hips, and then it will lift itself upright and plunk itself down. That's pretty awesome, actually. And like I said, they do that one about half the time. The other half of the time, they do it this way. Aero Rescue 3 comes into play again by using its magnetic grapples to grab onto Pyro Rescue 1 and lift it into the air. And then, as it's dangling there, the transformation will begin. Remember how I said earlier the details of the undercarriage of Pyro Rescue 1 get hidden? Sure enough, they get hidden. You're not going to see those details, and yet there they are. That's what I love about it. So that, these fall down. Now what I don't like about the transformation here is you don't just pull out the arms, they sit there and that's it. You actually have to extend them all the way, push this in, and then you have to push the whole thing back, but it's the gray part that will actually snap into the position you want. So it's a bit of a hassle, kind of annoying actually, but I don't see how they could have done it any other way. Anyways, that's the transformation for Pyro Rescue 1, which then is landed on top of the Hydro mode, like that. And then as it's retracting its own cables, Aero Rescue 3 will transform itself, bring itself right on top of the Megazord. I don't know why they have you do this, but because it happens in the show, it's a nice detail to have. And there you have the Lightspeed Megazord. The Deluxe Lightspeed Megazord is striking in one way, and that is its size. I do not have a Deluxe Galaxy Megazord because 1, I don't like the transformation, 2, I don't like the appearance of it, and 3, it can't interact or combine with any of the other toys in the line. What's up with that, by the way? And so I'll just bring out the next one in line, which I actually thought was a hell of a lot more interesting, the Deluxe Astro Megazord. By the way, if I love this thing so much, how come there's so much goddamn dust on it? Anyways, yeah, this is the standard size for transforming Megazords in the 7 years prior to this. And you can clearly see that it's a whole head shorter. Astro Megazord stands 10.5 inches, Lightspeed Megazord 9 inches exactly. So that's actually a pretty significant downsize. I'll get to making a video of this someday, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, that's what's so interesting about it. I mean, it's got the right kind of details and features on it. It's a deluxe transforming Megazord. It's just a little on the shorter side. And the reason for that is so that it'll fit inside of the Rail Rescues, which are already gigantic. So it's kind of understandable why this is smaller than any Megazord before it. And hey, you know what? If you don't like the official size, you could always go for the bootleg that Josh reviewed a few years ago. That's an option. But size differences aside, Lightspeed Megazord's still pretty sweet. Obviously, I have more detailed photographs on CollectionDX.com, so you can look at it there. But sometimes having a 3D rotation of some kind helps a little bit. By the way, even though it's got these little turbines on here, I've never known the Lightspeed Megazord to actually be able to have sustainable flight. So, it might have, but I didn't watch enough of the show to see that one episode where they did it. If they did it. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty nice. I already told you about the legs, which actually can bend a little bit. Well, actually, they can bend quite a bit backwards at the hips, but that's it. Standard is shoulders, which ratchet every 45 degrees. I got this secondhand, so the wrenching joints are actually become friction joints. This one's kind of bad. Anyways, yeah, there's that. And then because of the transformation, you can get the arms outward like that, which is pretty nice. And then again, because of transformation, you can actually stretch it farther if you have to, even though the joint is obviously in a different location. But anyways, yeah, you can do that. You can do that, obviously. Oh, yeah. The Lightspeed ladder arms, I think it's the Lightspeed ladder punch or something like that, where the arms pop out and then it'll do this punching action, rapid punching action. It can also pick up enemies with its arms and throw them about, just like it did in the debut episode. But there's one thing that absolutely cannot be avoided, and that I find absolutely awesome, and that is hands that open and close. Oh my god. Hands that open and close. That is awesome! Holy crap. By the way, why is it Pyro Rescue 1 has water jets on it if it doesn't have any water tanks on it? It's a ladder truck. Ladder trucks don't have water tanks. But anyways, yeah, it's got hands that can open to accept, of course, the Deluxe Lightspeed Megazord sword, which unfortunately I can't demonstrate for you because I don't have it. I got it secondhand, but the sword was not in the deal because they broke it, they lost it, something like that. I don't care. But you know what? I don't really need it because this thing is pretty awesome just the way it is. Power Rangers always has been and probably always will be about teamwork, friendship, and a whole bunch of other warm fuzzy feelings. This I have no real problem with. But never before, or since for that matter, have I ever seen it physically expressed in the Zords. Up to this point, the Zords have always been combat machines, war machines. Yeah, the Rescue Megazord from Power Rangers Turbo, kinda, sorta, but that was just kind of a parody of some sort of, I mean, it's called the Rescue Megazord, and they were also called Rescue Zords, by the way, but it just didn't have that cohesion of teamwork that these do. What interests me about the Rescue Zords here is that they each bring unique capabilities and strengths to the team. One of them has extra thick armor and can pick up hazardous materials. One of them evacuates civilians. One of them is strictly for dousing fires. One of them is for rescuing stranded people inside of buildings or across chasms or something like that. And then they have a helicopter overhead, which has the only built-in weapons. It's not that all 5 of them have weapons. It's just Aero Rescue 3 that has any weapons. And even then, they're just little pea shooters. As Miss Fairweather explained to the Green Ranger in Episode 2 when the Rescue Zords made their debut, these Zords are not unbreakable. You know, they do have their tolerances and limits. And Aero Rescue 3 may have limits on armor or actual strength. Yeah, it can lift one other Zord, not all 5. Like I said, maybe the Lightspeed Megazord can fly, but it probably can't. But this is an aerial crane, this is a ladder truck, a water truck, an ambulance, and a hazardous rescue. Each one of these vehicles, and the Rangers that pilots them, brings their unique capabilities to the team in ways that the others can't really compensate. So in this case, the word teamwork takes on new meaning in a way that was never expressed before, or really since. And even though, you know, yellow, green, red, blue, white, pink, they still emphasize function before form. And even though they are designed to combine into a Megazord, that doesn't mean that they are primarily war machines. They're designed to withstand combat, but they are not specifically designed for combat. I'm not quite sure how else I can explain it, but it's making me all warm and fuzzy inside and philosophical to think that the team actually have to depend on each other and trust each other to get one job done. But that's actually one of the reasons why I like the Lightspeed Rescue Zords. And I'm not just talking about these 5 here, but all of the others in the line. They all bring something new and helpful to the effort in order to save the Earth, to save lives. And to me, that just makes them that much more special and ups the notch of impressiveness a bit more. So, yeah, some of the functions, kind of lame. Some of them, you have to use your imagination. This one's obviously the most functional, but I really like these separately. They all do something different, but they all work together as a team to get the job done. And that I like. I really like how the Lightspeed ladder arms are functional with both Pyro Rescue 1 and the Lightspeed Megazord. And I do mean fully functional. I mean the hands open up in both modes, and the arms extend and retract in both modes. I really like how that crosses over. But, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of wish that the water cannons had been able to flip up on Hydro Mode. By the way, Hydro Mode looks a little weird, and you almost could do that with a couple of different Megazords, both in the past and in the future. But, it is what it is, and it's kind of cute, and I don't think much of it. And you aren't really missing anything if you just skip over it. But I also feel the need to re-emphasize the fact that this is designed for, let's say, holding up a skyscraper until other rescue officials in non-Power Rangers gear can climb up the stairs, the elevators, and things like that, get to the inside. Like, you can imagine the Megazord holding this building in place while the other Zords are off fighting. What other Zords? But anyways, it's not a war machine. Like, the only weapon that it has is the Lightspeed Megazord Saber, and that's it. And honestly, that sword almost doesn't fit the visual style of it. Yeah, it's got the big old Lightspeed Rescue symbol on it, but it just, honestly, I don't mind not having it. I mean, I'd like to have it just so the whole set is actually, like, complete, but I'm not in any big rush, because it works quite well without it. Now, big question. What is the difference between the Deluxe Lightspeed Megazord and its original Japanese counterpart, the DX QQ Gatai Victory Robo from the 1999 Super Sentai series QQ Sentai Go-Go 5? there actually is a small but significant difference, and that is the amount of die-cast metal that was used. There was die-cast metal in the bumpers of both Has Rescue 4 and Med Rescue 5, which was replaced with the chromed vacuum metallized plastic. I think this was metal as well. I bumped the camera. The shoulder pivot points, not the red, but the black right there on Pyro Rescue 1, those were originally die-cast metal as well. I'm not certain. I still, after all these years, I still haven't been able to nail it down. I don't think there was any die-cast metal in Aero Rescue 3. So, however, the only die-cast metal that survived was on the inner thigh and hip joints, hip transformation joints of Aqua Rescue 2. But so far as I can tell, all the decals, moldings, and paint applications are all exactly the same. Yeah, we're losing out on the majority of the die-cast metal, but this thing is heavy enough as it is, so I don't really think we're missing out on anything. You know what I wish they would have done differently? Is if this had somehow actually been involved in the transformation, like you turn this, and it would actually turn a screw assembly on the inside somehow that would lock the two waist sections together, because I'll tell you, this pops apart really easily. But, yeah. So, the other thing I mentioned earlier is it starts in here, and you know, you can't just set it there because you can see it slides out. So you have to pull it all the way out just to get that gray thing in place so that you can push it here, and then you have to push it back in. And you have to do that every single time you extend the arms or whatever. So, yeah, that was something that I didn't like. That was one of the few things I didn't like. But we have posable hands, which is nice, which is very rare. I think this is like one of the last times they did it. The only other time they did it was with the Storm Power Megazord in 2003's Power Rangers Ninja Storm. That was the last time we had opening hands. No, I take that back. The Thunder Power Megazord from the same year. But anyways, yeah. Rotating shoulders at 2 axes. That's wonderful. It would have been nice if the head could turn, but it's understandable why it didn't happen. The hip joints, I'd say that's just coincidence. And I can understand if they didn't have knee joints. So, overall, very nice design. Very, very, very nice design. And before I close this out, I'd like to pass a special thank you out to Sable Eye Fan, aka Andrew, for selling me all of his Lightspeed Rescue Zords. From one Aspie to another, you rock. This is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com, signing off.